less than 30 hours of Usain Bojang's arrest. The Gambia Police Force called for a press conference to give us a preliminary report after 30 hours of his arrest. But the incident that led to the death of these two police officers happened on the 12th, the night of the 12th. And the next day was when they arrested Usain Bojang in the afternoon or in the evening. Less than 30 hours into his arrest was when the police came out with a script. Now, this script is what the police gave, the government spokesperson, Sankare. Among the things they said in that script, in their 30 hours investigation, is that Usain Bojang is a rebel. Usain Bojang is not a Gambian, he's a Senegalese. That Usain Bojang was hired to kill. And Usain Bojang was hired by a political entity. And his co-conspirators and him were surveillancing paramilitary bases for a week. And they provided him the escape vehicle into the thick forest of Casamas. That he works for Brikama Area Council. That he was at the UDP court case in Banjul in Hudi. That he was the guy who told them that he was in that court case with a gun. And he was in possession of a gun from a long time. But when this case was brought to court, everything I have just told you that the police told us did not come to court. 0% of everything that Sankare and the police told us in their press conference did not come to court. Now we ask the question, where did the police get the information that Usain Bojang is a rebel? We ask the question, why is DIG Sow still kept in the police force after all the lies and fabricated script against this young man? We ask the question, why was the UDP complaining about Pate Jallo and another Pate Jallo was killed? Is that a coincidence? We ask the question, after just 30 hours, how on earth could the government of the Gambia come out with a preliminary investigation report that indicates that Usain Bojang works in Brikama Area Council when in real-time investigation, everything the person that you are investigating tells you is subjected to verification? The government of the Gambia deliberately and intentionally refused to verify any information that they would have said in their own script that Usain Bojang told them that, but they never went to verify when they have the entire government machinery in their hands. But first, why did they say he was at the UDP court case in Banjul? Because the entire script within that 30 hours was not a script developed within that period. It was a prior script that was developed and intentionally intended to actually ban the United Democratic Party. This is the fact. If we say it, it's the fact. If we don't say it, it's the fact. The difficult thing about this case is that UDP is nothing that I am very much interested in. No, let's say even this partisan politics or whatever. Because it's the same people, so NPP need you touch or you say NPP need you saga and them gonna know UDP. So it's like these parties are not very different. At the end of the day, the fact of the matter is that NPP is a fraction of the UDP. So if the two have their classes, they cannot use our innocent persons, our innocent brothers in our societies as their baits, as their scapegoats. So we the ordinary who probably not ready to say we sit on the fence, we cannot watch you do that terrible doings because we are not interested in your partisan politics and your hate against each other. At the end of the day, I don't know what I'm killing. So, 30 hours of investigation. You told us that the dude is a rebel. You came to court, 0% of that was brought to court. So today I think I will focus on, the defense. The defense lawyers should subpoena not just Sankare, but as well the police command, including the security advisor to the government, as well as the former Minister of Interior, Sonko Siaka. All of these people came to a press conference and they told us that Usain Bojang is a rebel. Now, telling me Usain Bojang is a rebel is just like telling me that I am a rebel, because this is a person I know, went to school with and grew up with in the community. So that aspect of it is a lie. But now let's ask the question, why did the government lie? Why did the government lie? The second aspect of it is that Usain Bojang, even if it was him, why did he leave the entire Bruford where we have a whole lot of paramilitary and then go to, traffic light just to kill somebody called Pate Jallo, then a name similar to the one that the UDP was castigating and complaining about, in terms of his excesses towards their party members? That is not a coincidence. If there is another truth to it, the only people who serve as witnesses to this particular case are military experts. The perpetrators turned to be the witnesses of the state. He even do it a little bit smarter, but even with that, everybody knows that, something did not go right here. So this riffraff government of people who definitely have no criminal understanding, they don't understand what they are doing, not in governance and not in good deeds, not in bad deeds, because they just have no clue about anything. Criminally connived to kill the police officers to frame the United Democratic Party, and they made sure that there is a name called Pate Jallo so that they are able to connect it to the United Democratic Party, and that is the script that they told us after the 30 hours of Usain Bojang's arrest. Now, everything about Usain Bojang being at the UDP court case did not come to court by the state. Everything about him working in Brikama Area Council did not make it to the court. Everything about him having a heavy telephone traffic, they did not print his call logs to bring to court to prove all of those things that they had alleged him. So that clearly tells you that the government of the Gambia was lying to the teeth against this young man. And their entire intention was to ban the United Democratic Party, and they failed in that quest because they deliberately killed the police officers. First and foremost, the place that they actually put this paramilitary is not a paramilitary base. It's not a normal parliamentary station. So they purposely put them there for this particular reason. And they put somebody there with the name Pate Jallo so that there could be that coincidence, because that name is something that was highly pronounced in the Gambia about his excesses. And you know who this Pate Jallo is? Pate Jallo's brother was a notorious murderer in the Jammeh regime, because he was a jungler who later was jungled down by his own junglers. We could be sympathetic to some of this situation, but we've got to the point that if this Pate Jallo himself had the guts to tell people that Usain Bojang confessed to them, that is the only thing left with the police. Oh, but he told us. But I thought you people told us that he was a rebel. Why didn't you prove that? You told us that he was working at Brikama Area Council. Why the lies? You told us that he was lodged in a motel where he actually works. You know that's another fabricated lie. You told us that he was at the UDP court case in Hoodie, and the United Democratic Party came out to show us who the person in Hoodie was. So all of these fabrications was the script prepared prior to the incident. And the incident was actually commanded in that fashion that, of course, we scripted this way and we make sure we kill somebody with the name Pate Jallo. Of course, if other people, fall victim of it, that is just it. But then our whole interest was to have a Pate Jallo killed so that we can connect it to the United Democratic Party, and their entire intention was to ban the political establishment. So for me, that is your fight with the UDP. Do whatever you want, but we cannot use our brother as your bait. We will not watch you do that. This is a criminal regime, not better than that of the past. So there is nothing you can change about the script. Now that we've gone to court, they brought in 13 witnesses. And beside the witnesses, when the incident happened first, there was a photo of a vehicle that circulated the entire country with claims that this vehicle belongs to the perpetrator of this heinous crime. Fast forward, this vehicle is now known to be the vehicle of a police officer who has access to a weapon because he's an orderly and has a pistol with him. On a normal investigation, all the people within this vicinity at that particular time, whose either materials or whatever were being filmed as part of, that kind of, group that did whatever, should have all been arrested and investigated. But the police did not do that. You know why? All of these people are their own people. It's the police and their own criminals that actually committed this cannibalistic act. So that's why I call it police cannibalism. You don't want to hear that, but you would hear it. Ay ragal deguñ fi. Ay tapet deguñ fi. Jamono bu wesu nañ ko boy. Where people in uniform criminally connived to actually, perpetrate such heinous crimes and turn around to frame other people, that single narrative prosecution will end in this country. And this is the case that will expose that. And already you've been exposed. So, when this vehicle was pictured at this particular scene, with its number plate, they said it belongs to Ousainou Bojang. Now, when they realized that this vehicle, again, does not belong to Ousainou Bojang, but belongs to a police officer who has a gun, why didn't they arrest this police officer who has a gun to ask him what his vehicle was doing at this scene to be the center of attention at this particular scene on that day? They did not do that. Other narrators also said that, the person that did it wear haftan. Others said, no, he had a military, camouflage trouser. The three military officers that claimed to be chasing after this particular gunman were calling each other while they were at this particular environment. Why were they doing that? What were they coordinating? Three people who were standing together, who were coming from the same place, still calling each other on the phone. That tells you that something did not go right. But how comes these three were pursuing this particular gunman, but they cannot tell us that if his shirt was white or black? How can you pursue somebody? You can see the human being, but you cannot tell the clothing. Does that make any sense at all? You don't need to be an eye doctor to understand that. I cannot say I'm seeing a human being there, but I cannot tell if it is black or blue that he's wearing, or if it's a halftone or whatever. That's not possible. But what really happened? The police, upon receiving Mama Jabi's audio, that they said that was the incriminating audio that led to the arrest of Ousainou Bojang, because everything that DIG so told us was a complete fabrication and a lie. That is the script that the government crafted against the United Democratic Party, and they got exposed in it. But even in Mama Jabi's audio, they sent this to all the institutions responsible in the police force and other institutions that actually do, some of these, transcriptions. Upon transcribing everything word for word that was said in the audio, they realized that there is nothing incriminating in this audio, because this dude did not in any aspect of this audio mention the killing of the cops. But what did they do? The reports of the transcriptions were sent to these folks. But because they have instituted their own investigation panel consisting of the criminals themselves, and what they did was, we have no option but to make sure that we put everything on this dude, because otherwise we will be exposed. You are already exposed. Did you bring the transcription of this entire audio that you've actually transcribed to the court? No. But what did they do? They came to court and said the audio was lost, with two contradictions from the prosecution and also Mama as the witness. Because Mama said, I do not have the audio no more, simply because I deleted my WhatsApp, and of course I removed my SIM card from my phone. But the prosecution team said Mama does not have the audio no more because her phone was spoiled. Now, in the case where you are supposed to prove your case beyond reasonable doubt, you appear to be lying to the court in every aspect of the case. From the beginning, before even getting to court, your press conferences were an entire fabrication. Now, after your press conferences, we actually got to, the court. Everything you brought to court was just mere fabrications and lies. So where is the innocence of the regime? Who really killed the cops? What the defense need to do now is to subpoena some of these folks, including DIG So Sankare, the National Security Advisor, and Siaka Sonko, the former Minister of Interior. And the current Minister of Interior, former IGP's travel to China was not just a coincidence, because he knew something about posting these folks at this particular location. It was all part of the programmation of these folks to ensure that they execute this nonsense at this particular time and in this manner. But they are not smart criminals. So, ladies and gentlemen, what are we trying to tell you here? If, for instance, you put 3 police officers at a particular location, and 2 of them got killed in that gruesome manner, the team that forced responses, let's say this is a disaster now, and now we're talking about disaster response. The first team that responses would definitely have to seal the perimeter or the area where this crime scene would have occurred. The police told us that the only footprint they met at this particular site is the shoe they met in Usainu Bojang's house that does not even belong to Usainu Bojang. Now, why didn't they bring these shoes to court to say that this footprint is more or less the same footprints we've met at this particular location at the incident? They know all that are just fabrications and lies. But let's be realistic here. In a place like traffic light where you have hundreds of people meeting, it's not like a single household and a single individual crime offense. But in a public space, you just went there and you said, among all the hundreds footprints you would have seen there, only this one belongs to Usainu Bojang. But it was the police DIG that told us that there was a heavy telephone traffic in Usainu Bojang's phones. Now, the police got 2 of his phones, deliberately did not bring these phones to court, deliberately did not bring his, call printouts to prove that there was a heavy telephone traffic. They did not arrest and charge anybody he was calling. So what is going on? Now, the prosecution, the case is at the stage that in October, the defense would definitely open, because we're expecting that the judge would take a decision on the no case to answer. And then, most likely in a case as gruesome as this one, it will be so easy, so flimsy for the judge to say, oh no, there is no case to answer. So possibly we will go into the defense. And that is where we would expect that DIG So, Sankare, and all of these government machinery murderers will be called to question. They need to be subpoenaed to court to come and prove their case. Because these are the people that told us that Usainu Bojang is a rebel and that there was a heavy telephone traffic. Even the juniors in the police, the most junior person in the police would know that DIG So was lying. Because how on earth would the police sit and say, oh, we are monitoring telephone traffics and we are able to tell that there is a high telephone traffic in this particular person's phone and we are following him from one point to another until he got to Casamas? But it's the same people that told us that this person was actually, he got an escape vehicle through his co-conspirators and he ran to the thick forest of Casamas. But how could you leave the thick forest of Casamas to come and sit in a garage to be crying about a white person? So that already tells you and exposes the government of the Gambia of complicity and criminality. And to most of my friends in the police force, if we don't speak for you, you cannot speak for yourself. So don't see us as your enemies. Your bosses are your enemies because they are the ones framing you, killing you just to maintain some of those positions they are holding today. And we know they are one of the most incompetent persons in that police force, including your IG, who has never been a police officer. We don't fear to say that. What a DIG So, on what basis did the government of the Gambia give you an additional contract? Because you are the mastermind of the killing of the cops. And we know that very well. You, Pata Jallo, Ibu Sow, Commissioner Sow, and all those folks who criminally connived to lie against this young man, you people understand something about the killing of your folks. So it is not coincidence that the government of the Gambia killed the police officers to frame the United Democratic Party, and they made sure that Epate Jallo is killed, because that is not a coincidence. But even whereas that is a coincidence, why then did they frame the person that they said killed the cops as a member of the United Democratic Party who works at Brikama Area Council, who was at the UDP court case in Banjul? What was the intention? What informs this decision and this script? You don't need to study rocket science to understand the basics around it. You don't need to understand, you don't need to be so complicated to understand the basics around it. This is a very simple case that tells you that the Gambia government killed the cops, and they intentionally did so to ban the United Democratic Party. So Adam Barrow and his regime are culpable, and they will be held accountable someday. You don't need to support the UDP, but you need to support humanity and, of course, respect human fundamental rights. Today is Hussein Bojang. Probably some of us are speaking because we know and grow with him in the community. I could have shut up. I don't need nothing from nobody. I could just do whatever I got, and I'm like, man, dude, let's see what comes out of it. No. We cannot all be blinded to the truth when we saw it and we can tell that this is not right. Tomorrow we will start asking each other, where were you? Now, let's give you a comparative scenario. When Jammeh wanted to betray some of his, coup team members like Sana Sabali and co, what did he tell us? That Sana Sabali wanted to kill him and froze in his office, and they got Sana and other people and put them in jail, which in reality was not true. When the regime killed Koro Sise, what did they do? The same people went to Koro's, burial ceremony, acted as if they were very innocent. But now, compare it to this particular case. The police killed their own men, and now, even at their 1-year anniversary, acting as if, oh yeah, we are going after criminals. You are going after no criminal, because you are the criminals in uniform. And the people in the police force know all of you. They know very well that you people did this and you people are criminals. But of course, if a police officer got to speak, they might consider that treasonous. But I would rather quit the police force and speak the truth than remain in a police force where I know we have murderers in our midst. It's like during the days of the junglers. I remember, some of us grew up in partly military settings and all that. I remember meeting somebody at the airport, and I told my auntie, hey, yeah, I met this person the other day at the airport. My auntie is a military major. She starts staring at me like this, don't you talk about this guy no more. You don't know he's a jungle. So it's like people in the military at the time feared even some of these folks who were killing people. It was like, don't associate it. I was like, no, I only met him at the airport. I said hi to him because I know him growing up as a kid. This is exactly what is happening in the police force. We know you people, we know the criminals in uniform. So, going forward, what's the point? You put 3 very junior men at a particular spot. 2 of them got killed. After 30 hours, you said you've arrested the person who did it, and after 30 hours of investigation, you said he works at Brikama Area Council. That is a lie. So why did the police lie? Can the police answer? You said he was at the UDP court case, which is another lie. Why did the police lie? Can you answer? You said he's a rebel, which is a lie. Why did the police lie? Can you answer? You hide the gun. You said you did not mention any gun recovery, but you later told us that one of your witnesses told us that he picked the gun on the day of the incident and he hid it, and he was told to hide it by his boss. And then the police actually came to pick this gun. But Ibu Sow, who is one of your lead investigators in this case, said they went to pick the gun, but on arrival at the point of picking the gun, he had left before the gun was picked. I think this gun is like, you know, I wouldn't know, for track it all on my malum, that you need to uplift. So all your lies did not corroborate. Everything that you told us about the case was an entire fabricated script, and Adam Barrow, someday you will be accountable to this. You will be accountable for it. Your regime intentionally, deliberately, and maliciously killed the police officers who went on duty to serve their nation to the best of their ability. A data political, a made political. They have no business with all your politics and hate against each other. The United Democratic Party and the NPP, you went and killed them simply because of your politics. And that is the only reason you gave DIG Sow an extra contract, because you told other people that they cannot get the contract. So, can you come to court now? Because this is exactly what the defense got to do, to make sure that this police officer whose vehicle was actually seen at this particular place, who said that the vehicle was given to a taxi driver, but this vehicle is not even a taxi. So why was it even given to a taxi driver? Because this is a private vehicle belonging to somebody who has a gun. You need to go and get his call printouts, and to ensure that if in the call printouts that it is indicated on this particular day that he was seen within this particular vicinity, or these 3 military officers, including one of that police commissioners who were coordinating and talking to each other, that he too was calling and communicating to these folks, you need to subpoena him to the courts and ask what his vehicle was doing at this particular place at this particular time. As well, you need to subpoena DIG Sow for telling us all that he told us, and for telling Sankare everything that Sankare said, and Sankare turned around to tell us that everything I said is not from me, it's from the police. So all of these folks need to be subpoenaed to come and testify and tell the truth about what they know about this case, because everything they told us was never brought to court by the prosecution. Why? Because they are all fabricated stories and lies by the government. Sometimes it's easy when you want to lie against people. Let it be people that people don't know. But somebody in our own community that we grew up with from childhood, from primary school to high school to this day, you just jumped from nowhere and told us that he's a rebel. How comes? You told this person who has no business in politics, you said, oh, he was at the UDP court case. How comes? You told us that he works in Brikama Area Council. How comes? And then you turn around, you want to say that none of those things will come to court. We will bring your videos to court. We will play it for you. You will be subpoenaed and you will come and answer. And the entire Gambia will know that you people killed the cops and then you wanted to frame the UDP to ban them. And they will know that there was a police cannibalism that was masterminded by the police leadership to kill its own men just to satisfy the insatiable desires of the current regime. It's not about those who think, oh yeah, I'm in government, I'm benefiting here and there. No, that's not it. Most of you in civil society would start talking about other issues in the Gambia. You know the truth about this case, but you will not open a lid. You know why? They wouldn't get to that. But make a comparative analysis to Aziz Dabbala's case in Senegal. And that will tell you how investigations are done properly, with good intention and in good faith. When this dude and his brother were killed in his apartment, which is an apartment, not even in a public space, every person he has contacts with, and of course those whose phones were detected to be within his environment that day, including his closest allies, were all arrested and they are being investigated for the crime. But when the police officers were killed, the people, if you look at it, if you characterize the personnel that were within the scene, is 3 military officers plus a police officer who has a gun. Why weren't they arrested and, of course, investigated? No. The entire investigation of Usainu Bojang was dependent on an audio that which you transcribed and understood that there is nothing incriminating in it. When your DIG so lied that he actually put up an armada and used all codes here and there that they went from one point to another until they arrested Usainu Bojang. Why didn't DIG so come to the court to tell us the methodology and of course the technology he had applied until Usainu Bojang was arrested? That was an entire fabricated script. It's a lie. So why didn't you bring it to court? So the defense need to subpoena you to come to court and tell us why you told the Gambian people all those fabricated lies. Abukoloko time when Jammeh does some of these kind of things, what they do is he just gathers some of the security chiefs to go and sit at the police headquarters to develop a press statement that they will come and give us. It's like when they killed Daba Marena and Co, they came out and told us that they escaped. That is exactly what happened in this case. You don't need to be from Brufut to know Usainu Bojang personally to understand that this is a fabricated script. Because first, when they told us he's a rebel, they realized that was a lie. They told us he worked in Brikama Area Council. They have the entire government machinery in their hands and they could not provide any evidence of that to the court. They told us that he was at the UDP court case in Hoodie. They realized that that was not him. What was the intention of all those scripts around UDP? Because when they say he works at Brikama Area Council, who is in leading Brikama Area Council is a United Democratic Party chairperson. When they said he was at the UDP court case in Banjul, who got the court case is the United Democratic Party. When they said he has his co-conspirators and then they were, surveillancing paramilitary bases for a week, who are they referring to? The United Democratic Party. And then you look at the characteristics of the persons killed, the personnel killed, the person with the name Pata Jallo was at the same time a Pata Jallo being castigated within UDP platforms. So all of that is not a coincidence. It's a perfected, executed, murder by the government of the Gambia. So this is the fact. So we will not be silent on this case until justice is done. And when we speak, it's not that we're speaking for Usainu Bojang. That one is long obvious to us that he is not a murderer. And we know very well that, that dude in the community, he harms nobody. He has no business with whatever any person is doing. He's just on his lane, And told me Usainu long, like back then from primary school, this dude was so involved with Westerners. I remember one of my, very good guys got like a very big book from him. I think, his white people used to send him stuff, and then this book was about coaching and football stuff. And we used to meet at this guy's hood, to discuss issues. And we later were in the same Red Cross doing stuff back in the hood, And then, later we all went to different schools here and there. And, but then you will meet in the community and do your stuff. So how on earth would you jump and tell us that this person is a rebel? But why didn't you bring all of that to the court? So what a kule manta kujang. And then it's very obvious to us that, the police leadership has a hand in it. And the government of the Gambia has a big hand in it, because they are more or less the masterminds of the killing of the police officers. You failed in the quest. Now, let's come to why DIG so hard to get an extra promotion, or probably be giving, another contract that even the IG does not even know about. We also know the battle you people are having now with, what is his name again? Sam Bojang Fati. But whatever Sam Bojang had wrote about the police is the fact. You cannot go to the police and then find in one office several people in the same rank. And you cannot just be mass promoting certain individuals simply because of connections and ties. That is nonsensical. It's not right to do. In any professional institution, you have taken the credibility and professionalism of that institution. And that does not mean we are referring to the men and personnel there. We are referring to the leadership. It's a disgusting leadership that is not based on competence and dogo rek moy dohal dekabi. And that is not right. We are seeing people who are doing the right job, who wouldn't do this dogo or actually give certain people money on the ground to get promotions. No. So we know what's going on. And we will speak the truth as it is. You cannot kill these young boys and then expect that everybody in the country will be silent. No. Now, DIG So, who had served his entire term and already retired and giving a contract, his contract finishes and they gave him another contract. When other people retired and they are told that there is a new policy in the police that we are not maintaining retirees, or we are not giving you extra contract because we want to promote and empower the young officers. You want to empower junior officers, but then when this man who masterminded the killing of the cops, you give him a contract simply because you are compensating him for those acts. The 3 military officers, you had sent them to Turkey as a compensation for their actions and acts. And this police officer who is more or less, you know, an orderly wherever, we are monitoring you. When the police becomes the criminals, the society becomes the police. And we are policing the police now because we know basically that atolle alla mulfo al murundal ka fanyala UDP kan. Al filter or al after kala to London go kami anonko, yes, no business in whatever you people did. Why didn't you bring Mama's audio to court when you know basically that that was the incriminating audio on the basis of which you've arrested this folk? Because you realize that everything in the audio was nothing, has nothing to do with the killing of the cops. Now, 30 hours. Let's be very honest. Within 30 hours of arresting somebody, you were able to establish that he works in Brikama Area Council. Lies. You were able to establish that he was the one in hoodie at UDP court case. Lies. You were able to establish that he was hired to kill and he was lodged in a motel and, you know, his co-conspirators provided him the escape vehicle and you had applied codes here and there until you got to Casamas and an unknown person was handed over to you. A Beulia. So this case has, in my view, in a serious country where people believe in justice and the rule of law, would have brought the masses outside to question and query the government of the Gambia on the killing of the cops. But the parents of these folks you've killed, they're powerless. They can't do much about it. All they could do is we hope that justice is served. But at the 1-year anniversary, I have listened to the auntie of Pata Jallo. If you have sense and you listen to her, they know very well that this dude they keep in custody is not the killer of the cops and they are seeking justice because he said, we hope that justice is done. Because the real justice lies in the hands of those who perpetrated the crime and serving now as the ones who are prosecuting the crime. So the prosecutors of the crime are the perpetrators of the crime. That is how they have reduced our criminal justice system in the country. So for most of you who think, okay, you know, because it did not hit harder home, you don't care. It did not touch my home. Of course, a homie from the hood, we got to speak for the brotherhood. We know our community and this is where we defend the truth. You know, I grew up in the part of Bruford wherein, you know, like, Nyafulen is where everybody's more or less one. You want to commit a crime against one person, everybody stands to defend the truth. And this dude is not even from that end, he's from another part. But we know that speaking the truth is the only thing around it. And it's very obvious to every Gambian that this dude has no business in it. The simple thing is that Barrow and his criminal regime were just after the United Democratic Party and they went to do this crime. And trying to make sure they cover up other people. We know also some people who work in the SIS and other institutions asking people if they're investigating this particular crime. You know why they're asking that? Because they know something about it and they're involved in it and they're part of the perpetrator. We will not call some of your names now until we got to the final aspects of this case. Of course, so long the regime is there, you people will not face justice. It's the same as what happened in the Macky Sall's regime in the killing of DJ Baji and Philbert Sambo. These two are military officers who just vanished in thin air. And they up to date, they are nowhere to be seen. Because the Macky regime killed them because they believed that they were giving information to the Sanko camp. Synonymous to what you people just did in the Gambia. You killed this the police officer simply because you wanted to ban the United Democratic Party. What is next in the case? We're waiting for the judge, whom you people often would refer to, oh, he's a no-nonsense judge. He's a nonsensical judge, and I don't care about that. You can do whatever with your case. Is this same judge that said Yankuba Ture need to go to life imprisonment, but Edward Singati and other people, you know, and including Mofala Kanya, are all walking free. And the same case that he said. The simple reason why you people put Yankuba Ture on life imprisonment is his deliberate refusal to speak to the TRRC, and not simply because they murdered Koro Sise. Now, if it is because they murdered Koro Sise, that was a joint activity done by different individuals. Go and arrest all of them and put all of them in life in prison. You simply and squarely put Yankuba there because he refused to speak to the TRRC. But now, the police had killed their own men. Go and arrest them and put them in life imprisonment. And you, the judge, you know basically where the facts lie. You don't need anybody to tell you that. You know where the facts are. You know where all the fabrications, the propaganda, and the lies are coming from. I, who know probably not so much about the law, after looking critically analyzing this case, we have seen over 35 contradictions and lies that were brought to court by the government of the Gambia and its prosecution team. So what exactly is left in the case? What exactly is left in this case? So the defense must subpoena the DIG to come and tell us, because everything they had said in their press conference appeared to be an entire fabrication by the state institution against its own men. Imagine somebody walking under me. I kind of connive to make sure you are killed, and I come out to lie against your mother. And the next day I go to your funeral pretending as if Gambian be there for overlap one man. You know, I used to have this belief back in the days. I think when we were doing our master's program somewhere, I told one of my friend who was civil engineering at the time, I said, when we look at things online, we say, oh, yo, this particular crime happened in the Gambia. I was like, who did it? Is it a foreigner? Because we had this mentality growing up that Gambians do not commit crimes. But this dude at the time told me, look, you have this mentality that everything bad that happens to the Gambia is not done by Gambians. You seem not to understand who Gambians really are. And that is the fact. I did not understand who really Gambians are. For me, it's like Gambians don't do bad. But to imagine that an entire institution like the police would frame its own men, put them at a particular position, go back there, kill them, and turn around to frame another person, lie against a political entity, go to their funeral and act like they know nothing about it, and then wait until a 1-year anniversary and come back to that same spot and act like, oh yeah, we still feel sorry or we still feel bad about the killing of these cops. And nobody at that 1-year funeral could ask the DIG, why did you say that this dude was a rebel? Why did you say that, he was at the UDP court case? Why did you say that he works in Brikama Area Council? Where are his co-conspirators that you said he was in, he had the heavy telephone traffic? That they provided him the escape vehicle into the thick forest of Kazamas just for him to be found in a particular, garage crying about a white person. Why didn't any of you ask DIG that question? Why didn't you ask the president, why did you give DIG an extra contract knowing fully well that this guy has lied to the entire country on the killing of the cops? So that means that every lie that the DIG said to us actually gave him another contract. That tells you that the government of the Gambia is completely complicit in the killing of the cops because they knew everything about it. That was their script. Sankare did not lie to us. Sankare only gave us what the government of the Gambia had prepared with its criminals to kill the cops to frame the United Democratic Party. Honestly, I don't support the United Democratic Party. I don't even need to say that. That's nobody's business. That's my business. But I think I've even better do, because this regime that kills people and frame other people on lies, deception, and propaganda, no way. So after saying that, I think we all understood very well that Hussein Bojang has no hand in the killing of the cops. And the next thing that is going to happen is that, we expect the defense to come forward to subpoena these folks to come and tell us what exactly happened. And then the defense would make sure that they print out Husseinu's call logs to ensure that they put out all the lies that the government had put on this dude. And when they print out his call logs, you will realize if he had a heavy telephone traffic on that day. And it will also indicate if he was even present at this particular location, because Husseinu did not even go to Suguta traffic light that day. So his call printouts will tell where he was on that day. And of course, other people he was having conversations with will all come and provide evidence of that. And at his work where he was, they would definitely come to provide that he was at work and this is exactly what had happened and all that. And then the police will now be exposed beyond reasonable doubt that they had killed their own men in the police cannibalism and then turn around to frame other people. So there are three things we're going to look at today. It's the police shooting, and of course we will get into, the new cattle stealing they have started. I think somebody needs to start policing the police. This is an institution we respect so much. And it's high time that the right things are done in this institution, because the current leadership of the police is the most inefficient, inept, and incompetent. And that is just a tool for the regime. The military used to be the tool for Jammeh at the time. Not just the entire military, but a fraction of the military. We now have that fraction in the Gambia police force, the Delta plus some of these criminals calling themselves anti-crime, who are the criminals themselves. You arrested Hussein Obojang within 30 hours, and you realize that even within that 30 hours, the investigation report that they brought to court is one of those that they put aside, that it's an entire fabrication because there was no witness that signed it. That is when, they brought in that fabricator who actually said he entered through the back gate at midnight because they had a case with vehicles here and there, but who goes to, anti-crime at midnight to enter through the back gate without being processed? An institution like anti-crime, that is a lie. And to enter anti-crime at midnight simply because somebody has a vehicle problem. Vehicle problems go to police. You don't go to anti-crime. What has that got to do with anti-crime? Do people go to report cases at anti-crime? Since when has that started in the Gambia? So you realize that all of these things are complete fabrications and lies. Including their taxi drivers, I took this person from this place to this place, from this place to another, all fabricated lies. Even Mama, on the basis of whose audio you arrested this dude, you put all of those things aside. So what exactly did you bring to court? He told us. Anybody can say that about anybody. Look, one time I sat with somebody, like a group of students back then at the UTG, and there is this person who only hears the name Malmo, say, oh, one little boy. That's how they refer to me. One little boy lecturer. So we were all standing, and somebody came and said, oh yeah, I was speaking to that little boy lecturer Malmo, he did not know I was. And one of them started staring. I was like, no, let it slide. This dude spoke about me in my own presence until he left. Then we all started looking at each other. You see how people lie? You talk about somebody being little, small here and there. You just hear the name Malmo. You don't even know who Malmo is. And then you hear other people say Omar. You don't even know what this person's real name was. And you start making all those kind of fabrications and lies. This is exactly what anybody can do. I can just jump and say, yeah, but he told me this when he never told me. And then tell the next person, you also say he told you, so that we can have two collaborations that he told us, and then we can go and prosecute it in that single narrative prosecution. We're not crazy. We're conscious and we know what's happening. Look, we've lived 22 years of Jammeh's regime. We've seen all the good, bad, and ugly. We follow global geopolitics, and we've seen how people actually orchestrate crimes and they do bad things to other people. And we can easily tell how you people criminally connived against your own men with the intention to kill them, and you kill them to frame the United Democratic Party. Upon failing in that quest, you turn around and you want to put it on Hussein Obojang, who was only looking for some help about, a Western relationship that was actually in limbo. But that part is quite clear. We very well know that the police killed the cops, and then they would definitely answer those questions someday. Even the people in the police force know that their own men killed their folks, which is very clear to them, even though they cannot say much about it. They know very well that, if they speak, they might have to go, they might even prosecute them for, treason here and there. That is why it's very difficult to be an officer. You would see the truth, you can't say it. You would see things that are going wrong, you can't say it. But we are also, monitoring the case of Sambojang and the police leadership, that they try to use, PMO. But, PMO is one of those very weak institutions in that country. PMO is one of the weakest institutions in the country, and the most biased one is the Public Service Commission. Because fast forward, we will get into the cattle theft that is going on, as well as, you know, the Ministry of Environment and their intention to degazette or the reserve part of, you know, the Abuko Nature Reserve. I personally said what they are doing to the cattle is theft. You don't start off with what you should end up with. Brigawangol, alafa la kinkoli ya emol tenkunda kana mol yab. Kintante mola ni solte silolka. Kinkoli tante kombode. Tell him to cease and let him put himself in order. The fire jay san ne ya ni sol ndele be arrest kan, you know, economy arrest be falal. King ikan ni sol min be arrest ibe manke okoro keta de kamin foko min fada la ni sol be ya kan sate kono nyama. Besides, the police does not have any law, or the Gambia does not have any law, regulation, or whatever that tells that this is a an agricultural land, this is a grazing land, this is a residential land, or this is whatever land. No. The only aspect we have land in that aspect is forest covers that definitely indicate that this is a forest land. But which land in the Gambia indicates that this is an agricultural land and this is a residential land that you cannot actually have animals here? On what basis, on what law, on what principle are you arresting people's animals? Salia Mimfonke, Alka Molle Joe, you know, whoever brought in a cow, or those people that you hired to go and arrest these, you know, cows, if they bring anyone, you pay them 2,000, because the people that will come to pick them will have to pay a fine of 5,000. Of course, the cows might not have the right to be on the highway, yes? But tell me, where in the Gambia have you even provided a crossover for animals? Do you people even care about animals in that country? Where in Combo have you actually reserved a particular area and said this is a grazing land? Alka mola lanil sisi bul tilimbalianin kurianin koromantayakang alia murung alda mali o talalda maltema, more so in our Brufut environment. And then you go around the Brufut forest area, alka ni soldier cross from one side of the forest to the other side, you know, puruka kada dongon fongo nyina ko arrest wod la alka ko you not only woltara silo laka wonyon sunyar le bekeri king ida man dia moltede and ita man fatia motede dolla ko rokela ni sol nale wol mo sunyarol lati. You have no regulation in the Gambia that indicates that this is an agricultural land and this is basically, you know, a residential land, or this is basically a forest. Forest covers, we know they are quite explicitly, you know, cleared. But then you have no agricultural land. You just jump and start arresting people's animals. Do the first things first. Tell us these are agricultural land. These are the areas in which animals can be, and these are the areas in which animals cannot be. And then if you later find animals in the areas where it is clearly in policy and in law that the animals should not be there, then you can arrest them. But tell me which law in the Gambia indicates that this is a grazing land and this is not. One of my research publications looked at natural resources conflicts in Sambang. Now in Sambang, what we've explicitly indicated in this research was that there is a problem because of climate-induced factors. And then people who used to produce paddy, you know, rice production, it was dwindling simply because of saltwater intrusion in the freshwater ecologies. And they were all going upland to farm now. Now, all of these crop producing, you know, families who are going upland are now in conflict with, you know, nomadics who actually have this, you know, cattle and also use that path to either get to wherever they get. So it becomes a problem between, you know, the crop producers and of course the nomadics, because of grazing land issues, because the lands that they were using for grazing, these people now want to use that for, coos and maize and millet production. And then there is no land for grazing. And then all of these things are components of agriculture. And that was leading to natural resource conflict in the area. Now, contextualize it in Combo. Which land did you have clearly stipulated that this is a grazing land, this is an agricultural land? You will farm only 10 years and one day you just get up and sell it to real estate to come and change it into a settlement. And the government of the Gambia could not have that foresight to think that we definitely need to have a land use policy to regulate the use and utilization of land in this country. Since the financialization and commodification of land in that country, we have always seen complex, community conflicts over ownership and control of these resources. And all of a sudden you jump and you want to arrest nomadics and their properties simply because you said, oh no, your cow cannot be here. But 10 years ago, those places used to be areas where people use for grazing land. Why didn't you protect the grazing lands then? Why didn't you protect the farmlands then? How comes you have an entire government institution that actually looks at lands and surveys here and there that cannot give us a land use map, land use policy, because we keep changing our ecosystems anyhow we feel like, and we are not conscious of the fact that there will come a time all of these problems would occur in our society. So your failure to plan as a government, you cannot put that on any other person. So the deliberate negligence of governance is not the problem of the nomadic. The constant sale of properties in that country without regard is not the problem of the nomadic. At the end of the day, you people all jump and go back to abattoir to buy meat, and you think everything should be imported into the country because you are not conscious of the realities of the modern day activities of the world. Where in Congo now would you look and say, okay, if there is an animal here, they should supposed not to be there? Because you've torn all farmlands into human settlements without regard. And then you want to tell us that, oh no, the animals cannot cross the road. They will cross the road because the road met them there. It's just like people living on the Ramsar, area, the wetland complex, and say, oh no, there are crocodiles in my house. There are no crocodiles in your house. You are living in the crocodile's house. These are the realities of our country, and the people got to be told the truth. So King Koli, whatever you are doing is illegal, is wrong. Whoever justifies it, they can justify it, because there is no policy, regulation, or law that indicates that a cow cannot be somewhere around Bruceby. Which law in the Gambia indicates that this is an area that is actually not accessible for animals? Which law tells us that this is an agricultural land, this is a land for nomadics, or for it's a range land, or it's basically for animals, or this is for human settlement, or this is for this and that. You don't have a land use policy, you don't have a land use regulation, you don't have a land use law. Anybody can sell anything anyhow, haphazardly to anybody. Even the TDA from Alkamurun Kodalko Wafu Mulia Kodenge, the TDA in, I think, my last academic paper that looks at gentrification, and touristification of the coastal communities in the Gambia with a focus on Bruford, clearly indicated that TDA is a land dispossession mechanism against the people of Combo by governments. So it was a government-induced gentrification in the areas of Combo where they come with their so-called development and touristification projects and seize lands belonging to natives and without any compensation. And some of them they give to certain property developers to turn around and sell our lands to people. And then even our own community members cannot afford land in our own communities. Or they go to the beach area and they deprive us access to even our own beaches in our own communities. And most of these folks in government don't live in our neighborhoods. They are not from there, but they are giving free lands in our communities when we got nothing. So these are the things that we definitely need to look into. I got a call from a dad yesterday that said, you know what, these people are arresting people's cows everywhere. He owns a herd of cattle in our community. And then you go to places and you are just arresting people's cattle. And some of the cattle they actually arrested escaped from them according to them. And then the owner cannot see them and the police cannot provide them. He should sue you to court to provide his cattle. It's theft. We will account you on every aspect of your doing, from killing of the cops to now jumping and arresting people's animals. You don't have a Ministry of Agriculture to actually, give you some foresight, to give you certain, basic advices. Who are the police to jump and start arresting people's animals? What policy or program did you put in place for, nomadics, or what exactly is the policy angle or direction that you actually, what exactly do you seek to achieve in this? If they are unattended animals for several days and you know they are stationed at a particular place and nobody owns them, get them. But then now hiring people to arrest animals for you, and then each animal is, you are paid 2,000. Only I'm gonna say okay, and don't be like na full tiol. Tinga ranyi no kwan molla korel konan sida sunya nan jinga na di polisol dan kontrol makodoso. That is what you want to continue? It's not going to happen. You got to recheck yourself and recheck your TOR. I'm gonna man dafa dilly dally at some point. Where did he go? He backed down and then he gave it to you, King Koli. Mane lum don def jadu tegul ko si ben yon, tegul ko si xam-xam, tegul ko si dega. Ay neex ma rek dañ ma jox ay police ak ay borom fetel rek lu ma neex rek doxale ko nonu. Dega ken du ko doxale nonu. O bat real be fuñu la wala. Mane was going to people's homes and said that the fence line is basically the end of their property. Kamula dal tinya o ñom fan yanin tilimbal yanin jow yalla be keri. Where on earth would you tell somebody that your fence line is the end of your property? You went to Gunjur, Jambanjel, and other places, you were doing the same. If you tell me Brikama, Market area, Serekunda, and other places, we know clearly that if people encroach the road area, that is very fine. That was very necessary to do. That was a necessity because driving in some of those places, you realize that it was so tight that it definitely need to be spaced up. But do it professionally and make sure that your TOR is in line with engineering standard. It's in line with professional, standard operational procedures. But you just jump and start say, oh yeah, my fence line is my TOR. That is as dumb as hell. Mol nyawa madi, ama mola ni solo bula ka min sunya, ka ko adol we ni sa are solla, onyo sunya lewe kere. You sign nothing with God. Ngama do biya ka diam ho e kamera ko mol min yalon ko le kajula ma fa le sumsumola ma ba malo. All boy kuma ken sem fo fo mi ben do line ba ko fa ga. More so from people in authority, you cannot even understand it. So these are the things that we definitely got to start focusing our attentions on. We cannot just neglect all of these things. It's 1 year plus that you arrested this dude and his lactating sister. Me along ko, dini merong la bobul, dina merong. Alla ulia, nala fanya, nala double double okang. Saying albe maluling ko siya al dati al malong alba solve la nyami. You don't know how to solve this problem now because you are being exposed. The entire country knew that the police killed their own men for politics. How do you intend to solve that? How do you intend to face the public and now tell them that everything that we, the police and the government had said was a lie? How do you intend to do that? So those are the things that everyone in our community is very much aware of. And for a lot of people, what they would, oh boy, when Gambia, they boy, Indian call boy, no, because nobody want to get arrested. People more came in a balunya than this whatever nonsense that governments continue to do because this is your democracy. You see these double-tongued politicians, with immorality would jump and say, "Oh, kuna niya mi for them be a kumado for them imala." That is basically how our society is. And then moving forward, we've seen the cabinet talked about the reserving part of Abuko Nature Reserve. I've been saying this over and over. Rohijwan Manjang is a pest. Rohijwan Manjang is the most incompetent minister that has ever served the environment ministry. Rohijwan Manjang is not appointed on the basis of competence, capacity, or capabilities. It's simply and squarely because she is the niece to the president. And she will do and accept anything the presidency wants, including destroying all our forest ecosystems. And this is exactly what she continues to do. And this is what she will continue to do. This is a woman whom we expect that is leading the environment. She's supposed to be the main protector of our environment, but she is the main destructor of our environment. She's destructive beyond a pest. She accepts and agrees to everything that the regime talks about. She does not give them any technical advice, and she does not tell them anything that is environmentally positive. Everything that they want to destroy, she cannot give technical advice because she's not a technician. She knows nothing about environmental protection. This is the woman that intended to reserve part of the monkey park and sell it at a market valued price. This is the woman who actually, did the same at Nyani Bere. Is the same woman who is coming to destroy the Abuko Nature Reserve. This woman is as destructive as her uncle. You are simply a minister because of your uncle. Oh, I heard you're already in New York, or you're probably coming to New York for the UN General Assembly. You are only busy traveling everywhere. Even where technicians need to go, you go there. Besides, you don't have technicians at the ministry no more. You pick riffraffs who would go and study European studies and make them directors in that ministry because they are your doggos, including your peers. Your ministry bobu nyepalen jepi because you are the worst that ever existed at this moment. The Ministry of Environment is the most toxic institution, disgusting beyond repair. Because if those who definitely need to protect our environment are those who are destroying it, we got to say that. I'm not those dogo activists who are looking for conference. I've been all over the world. I don't really care about what you people do, and you people never took me anywhere, if not me helping the ministry. Let me say that. I have personally put my efforts to get your men to certain places because we want you to build that capacity, and we actually fought internationally to get you packages for your folks. And you know that very well. So those who dogo you are not us. We will tell you the truth. If you want, do whatever you want. We've seen like some of the consultancies and international capacity buildings that we invite some of your folks and they don't show up. We don't really care if they show up or not. It's their benefit. If they don't show up, we don't care. We're working with other institutions. Give me a second. So we're working with other institutions that basically, know the need of what we're doing. You have projects all over in that country. Let me be clear to you. The Ministry of Environment, before the removal of the past minister to come in, these people have several $1 million of projects. Upon implementation, nothing is visible in the lives of the ordinary Gambian. Project because the person would have given me this in a particular institution, so I'm going to Delo Njukal. What nonsense is that? Is that how you run our country? You take people who dogo you and give them directorate positions who basically know nothing and would have studied nothing in relation to this field of, But that includes even you, the minister, because you cannot just jump and go to UTG, study management and come and tell us that, oh yeah, I can basically tell you what climate and this is. You know nothing about it. That's why when you go international, you disgrace the entire society and country. Because you cannot represent us effectively and efficiently. I sat in a hall with you somewhere I think in Egypt. And when I listened to you myself, I was embarrassed and disgraced because I was like, this is the person leading our government institution? What an embarrassment. What a disgrace. What a shame. You if not to reserve all of our protected ecologies, and you expect people to show up and look at you and that, oh yeah, you people against me. Nobody's against you. We have said it to ministers before you. We will say it to you, and we will say it to ministers after you. We don't care what you have and what you know. Besides, you have nothing. You are only working for the government, and the government does not belong to you. All of these folks who are quiet and they're like, oh, dogo, man, dogo, madam, look. I went to school when it was time to go to school. I got a job when it was time to get a job. I'm not like those riffraff activists in the streets who think, oh yeah, you need the minister or you need the ministry to get to wherever. No. Where have you got to that we have not got to? What have you done that we have not done? What do you know that we do not know? That you jump, you think you can just be de-reserving and de-gazetting every part simply to satisfy the wishes and aspirations of your so-called uncle. You are a minister simply because the president is your uncle. You know, you cannot meet some of our staff in certain events and tell them, oh no, it's not, don't think that I boycott your event or whatever. Don't think that I boycott your event. Why do you need to say that? If you did not, why do you need to say that? Sometimes we actually do the courtesy of, you know, what needs to be done, but not that we really need you. We don't. I personally don't. And in everything I do, I don't need the ministry if it doesn't need me. And I can brag of one thing. Your uncle made you minister to benefit from the state, but I benefit that state, including that ministry in which you work in. Because I have brought some goods to that ministry. I have brought some good to that ministry and its personnel. That good had taken them all over the world, and people who work there know very well. So don't give us those bullshits of trying to de-reserve and destroy every part of our sensitive ecologies. And you think the presidency is happy with you? We know how you're trying to micromanage and other people who are running government-related projects in that ministry. Through your that so-called whatever, director, wherever, people who have no idea, have no understanding of what they are doing. When they speak, is complete garbage. That is what got to end. Dangay dohal dega wala nak lo buga ñu dohale ko nono. Bu de kaddu yu bon la yo gënulo ñoo ñaaw gémmiñ. If it is knowledge of the sector, you don't know nothing about it. We have seen the forestry director actually, going on early retirement. You are just wicked to everybody. Or you want to show us that, yeah, the president is my uncle, man fale oma. Fale nga. Sa uncle momu dekabi. While rewan to sising ministry. Rewanda ko mungi buga upanak. It's getting out of hand. You want to de-reserve protected areas. We will come after you and we will tell you what it is until we get to that point. You are just destroying every ecosystem in that country because you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the capacity, you don't have the intellect. And there is nothing you can tell cabinet about protecting our protected ecologies. But whenever they say, oh, we want to de-reserve, you're like, okay, yeah, destroy this forest. Are you a protector or a destroyer? You're just destroying everywhere for no good reason. Even in trips where technicians need to go, you jump and go there because it's all about money for you. But tanga non la fa demee nguur gi yéen noonu ngeen ay doxale waaye na nga bàyyi sa xel. Your dogo PS who believes that because of you he is made PS because he was DPS ñoo fi sàccoon xaalis ci agriculture fi Yaya Jammeh tëj leen yéen da ngeen am loo leen wax ñi. So you got to do the right thing. I have seen you people rescinded certain decisions on the Great Green Wall and other things here and there. Do whatever you want with it, Rohi John Manjang. Yun fale wuñ la. We don't believe in you. We don't believe in your leadership. We don't believe in your whatever. We only know that you are incompetent. You don't have the sectoral knowledge. You are incapable. You don't have the capacity and you don't have the skills and the ability to lead the government ministry like environment. So that is my position and that does not change. If you want to use this against the folks that we work with, do whatever. But you cannot stop what we're doing because we're doing whatever. You met us doing what we are doing. You will leave us doing what we are doing. And we are bringing in thousands and thousands of dollars into that country to run projects that definitely benefit the common man and including government employees. Most of all this capacity building we're doing that, you people cannot even do. You cannot provide. You cannot do nothing. Some of the trips that we help, through our connections help fund even some of your folks in the ministry to travel to understand complex global issues and to be part of global discussion. You cannot provide for them. So if you cannot, appreciate what people are telling you, say, oh no, they shouldn't criticize me. Who are you not to be criticized? If you want to destroy the monkey park, we will tell you until you hear it. If you want to destroy the Abuko Nature Reserve, we will tell you exactly that. You want to destroy, Nyani Bere Forest, we will tell you exactly that. And then if you want to play hypocritical about Manduar, we will tell you just that. We don't freeze. So let that be very clear to all of you. You have reduced that ministry to the most incompetent one in that country, but it is aided by the Public Service Commission, because the Public Service Commission, if they could appoint certain individuals into certain directorate positions with zero capacity, zero knowledge, when they speak is garbage, and to represent the country at that level, that tells you enough about this government. It's the worst that the Gambia has ever heard. More so killing police officers just to frame other people, and then you turn around and put it that on a dude who knows nothing about it. This case is clear to every Gambian that the Gambia police force and the government of the Gambia is responsible for killing the cops, like the junglers were responsible for killing innocent Gambians for no reason for the regime then. That is exactly what you people have studied, and you got completely exposed in it. We wouldn't go into the double-tongued politicians because they are little puppies, basically might need their bottles, and we don't have bottles to feed the little puppies. But I've seen a minister whose bag, phone, passport was stolen on a day he was traveling to another country, and the travel trip got cancelled simply because the bag was stolen, just for his passport to be met or to be picked, in a garbage bin somewhere in Brikama. And then the next couple of days, this person appeared on TV and said Gambia is one of the safest countries in the region, or the Gambia is the safest country in the region. The intellectual nothingness of some of these individuals, what they say yesterday and what they say today, you cannot imagine if these people really believed in something. Next minute you see what the person is writing or saying. You imagine if this is the person you was talking to a day before or 2 days later. We got to believe in something. We cannot be a country of dogo in every way. No, we don't do that. I personally don't do that for nobody. Look, when I was going to school, I did not dogo my parents to pay my fees. Why would I dogo an individual I did not know or at adulthood to get what? No. If you don't know, go to my work institution. You know, I have this boss who actually kept my promotion for 1 year. What had happened? That case I would quickly tell you. So in my work institution, because it's an academic institution, you know, your promotion is very much dependent on your academic publications here and there, and how you rise through the ranks. So that promotion was open, and then people were to apply. And then for me to just realize that my application was not submitted to the final team that was reviewing this application until the list of, people promoted was out. And I sent an email to the vice chancellor, and I copied, I think, the deputy vice chancellor, including my boss, to whom this application was submitted to. This person deliberately did not respond to that email trail, but he sent me a personal email where all those folks, the office of the vice chancellor and the deputy vice chancellor and so on, were not copied in his response to me that, oh no, you need to reapply again because your application is lost. Me, I'm not bothered by all that. And I just wrote back to him, do you mean my application is lost and I need to really reapply again? What do you mean? He said, yes, you need to reapply again. After 1 year. This was after 1 year of application. I said, all right. I resubmitted all of these. And then when the promotion letter was out, it was not really backdated to my initial day of application, which is 1 year. And in my response to the email, I said, take note of my first day of application, because this application, I personally dropped it in your office. It was not that I sent somebody. I went with it in my own hands and dropped it in his office. But because I am not those folks who dogo people, be a professor, I don't give a fuck. Excuse the language. But so when I resubmitted this, they sent me a letter that did not actually cover the period that I had applied for. I was like, you know what, it's all right. I'm not bothered. Because I am involved in a lot of things. So this one is nothing that I definitely need to bother so much about. I was like, that's all right. But for me to later realize that this person whom I consider my boss and then submitted my application to is the same person who was the head of the academic and promotions committee. It's like you, my boss, directly, and I submitted my application to you. The way you should submit it, there is no way you should submit it besides you are even the boss of that committee. Just for you to tell me that, oh yeah, your application was lost. And after 1 year, I had to reapply again. And simply because, you know, you believe that, oh yeah, these people are a bit difficult with me. Nigga, we are not here to please you. We are here to work. We are there to work as partners. We are not there to work for you. We are working with you. You either teach, if you don't, you go and stay in your office. We teach and go our way. We have no business with you. And you know why all of those things were happening? There were a lot of consultancies happening in various government departments. And when we applied to those consultancies, including them with their old titles, wherever, you studied something else, which is very different from environment. But you want to characterize yourself as somebody who knows everything around the environment when you basically know nothing about it. You apply for a consultancy independently. I apply for a consultancy independently. I'm giving the consultancy because I and you work in another institution. You want to use that to say, you know what, your application is lost. So that tells you about the Gambian and their mentalities. And these are some of these folks you would meet on campus like, okay, boy, where you change the motor use? Work, dude, do your work. But that does not tell just about my institution. It basically tells about what happens in our society. Right now, the police cannot say, oh yeah, we know our people killed the cops. They can't do that because they fire you, they put you in jail, they, you know, call it insubordination. They either call it, you know, treasonous here and there. That is why they can't say much. But they know very well that the government killed the cops. Including some of our very good friends or people who know Senobojang and live in the neighborhood and work in government. They cannot say it because they want to protect their jobs. So the protectionists can definitely protect themselves, but some of us don't really care about all of that. Take your jobs, take whatever you want to take. We will tell you the truth. Dogo can nothing getting. Dogo only gives you that inferiority complex and, you know, weakness within yourself. That does not mean that be confrontational with folks, but tell the truth where it is due. And do what you got to do to the best of your ability without caring about, we don't harm nobody, but then you want to bring your nonsense to us, we don't care. It happened one time, one of my, like, you know, some of these things you see, you wouldn't even want to talk about. There was a project in my institution. And the person who was handling this project was deliberately doing dubious things. And one time, you foolers, you like money too much. One of the dudes I was in the office with, you know, this fuller guy, I was like, nigga, you know what these people are doing is not right. So yeah, you know, it's not right. I know. I'm like, and one day, all of a sudden, everybody in the office was jumping and they were traveling somewhere. I was like, I just sat and I saw on Facebook, people I was in that office all jumped. They were in another country. I was like, what are these people doing over there? I didn't know what's going on. And one time for this person to come and say, you know, we want you to give us this and this and this project. What? That project pay me for what? I don't work for this project. Why will the project give me money? Take your money, bro. I don't need your project money. I don't work in your project. Why will you? You people were traveling, doing all your stuff here. I'm not involved in it. And all of a sudden you want me to give you. How can you even tell me to give you my pay slip because the project. What has the project got to do with my pay slip? Deka bi naxante bi lañ wara bay ak dogo bi ak sajja aleri rew mi lolu mo fi wara jeex. And then we cannot be criminally doing things and think that, oh yeah, you know, we are doing well or our life is good. No. Some of these institutions definitely need to change the way they operate. And sometimes it's not even institution. It's just one person here and there who is just terrible in whatever. Imagine I had 3 papers to publish at one point. I sent this paper, mostly like the university pays publications for staff at a time. So I sent this, request. First, your dean has to sign, and then, it's then sent to somewhere else. I sent this through someone. I said, because I was not in country at the time, I said, can you give this to this person? This person met this boss I'm talking about, and what he said to him was that, he was on leave and he's not signing anything that was coming from me. I go, boy. And I'm paying for my stuff. I don't care, man. And that's exactly what I had to do. Imagine, you had no business with whatever. Simply because you're giving a position of power in a particular institution, you think that everybody need to dogo you because of the things that you people do right or wrong. And other people who will turn around and say, boy, no, are the same people who will turn around and go there and be dogoing. They don't believe in nothing, irrespective of their academic titles here and there. That is why sometimes, I think sometimes, when I listen to Dr. Ali Ujib and other people, I think, oh yeah, that's a bit too much. But sometimes that's how frustrating some of these institutions are. That's how toxic some of these individuals are. And days ago, somebody said, hey, they said, you have a promotion letter. So I'm like, look, let them take it. I'm not interested. When I need it, I'll go pick it up myself, not from you. So that's exactly what we want people to understand, that there are a lot of terrible people in our institutions that definitely don't work for the interests of the institution, if not for their pockets. And so long you do not dance to their tunes, they feel like, you know what, because I'm in a better position of authority, I can do whatever they feel like. You can only do that to people who definitely have no options in life. You can only do those kind of things to people who have no options, or who don't believe in themselves, or don't believe in their independence, or because they do not keep their independence and skepticism at all times, or what they do is everything that comes from the boss is yes sir, yes sir. We don't do that. So ladies and gentlemen, we will cut it out there today. What we wanted to be very clear about is that the police, we hope that the defense would subpoena this government spokesperson to come and tell us why he said Hussein was a rebel and was at the UDP court case and was hired to kill and was provided an escape vehicle here and there, knowing fully well that everything he said was a lie. We also hope that the defense would subpoena DIG Soul to come and tell us everything that he said about the case that they deliberately omitted and refused to bring to court. It has to come to court. It cannot just go like that. So these folks got to be subpoenaed. And we also know very well that the government of the Gambia is fully and completely complicit in the killing of the cops, because they are fully responsible for it. And they did so to ensure that they banned the United Democratic Party by killing innocent young men who had done nothing if not to work diligently for their country. So those cases of killing people here and there is long gone. If you want to continue that, the entire country will stand and resist it. But if you don't resist it now, it will continue, and there will come a day that you can no longer resist it. And that is exactly what happened with the last regime. When they started, some of you felt it was just politics. You continue to support until you became their victims. Then you understood that, oh yeah, something is not right here. You don't need to wait to be the victim to understand that something is fundamentally wrong with assassinating people who had done nothing to you, basically. And their only crime is to bear the name Pate Jallo and to be at a guard post with another. That's all. So the government of the Gambia is completely responsible for the murder of the cops. And they know very well that is the case. They can prolong this case as long as they wish. But then it will come clear, and it is already clear to everyone that they are responsible for killing the cops. And they framed a young man who had done nothing about it for a year and beyond, with his lactating sister who had nothing to do with it, whose only crime was to help a brother in seeking solutions to his problems. And they frame them in their lies and criminally conniving with mama and other people to say things that do not hold water. But even the police within themselves and their responsible institution that basically transcribed these audios knew very well that this dude did not say anything about it. But those that were put in the investigation panel were not really actually getting advice from the experts who actually did all of that. They were more or less working independently with the State House and the DIG to ensure that they frame this dude. It's like that Yahya Jammeh style of leadership. You are being exposed and the whole world will know about it. We also know that the General Assembly is about to happen. We will meet there. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.